So you've been raised by a single mom and you feel like you're behind in your dating experience. Maybe you're in school or university and you're seeing all these cute girls running around with guys and you wish you could be them and date those girls. Or maybe you're older and in your 20s and 30s and you've dated a bunch and had a few relationships, but you've not really been able to access the caliber of women that you feel like you really desire. And maybe you've had some relationships that started off well but then have gone sour and you're wondering why. Maybe you're thinking if you had a father figure around to show you the masculine ways, then you'd be more successful in your dating. And you'd probably be right. So now what can you do? Around the age of 18, I decided that I was done fantasizing about girls and I wanted to start getting dates for real. And I wanted to start having sex. So I did a bunch of things. The first thing I did was get into weightlifting, which was absolutely massive. I joined these forums and blogs where pickup artists were teaching game and how to cold approach women in public. And I was like, oh fuck, there's a whole universe about this stuff out there. I upgraded my fashion to show off the gains in the gym. I bought some nice cologne. I learned eye contact. I learned what to say and how to have a deep masculine voice. And I was doing voice exercises in my room, just being autistic as fuck. But it all worked. And I started getting dates, whether that was approaching girls on campus in my uni or going around coffee shops or parks, Tinder, nightclubs. So I ended up doing quite well. And I feel that everything that I had done worked and made this contribution. But if I was going to boil it down to one factor that really made a difference, it's leading the interactions with women. So what does that mean? Let's say you're having a conversation with a girl, you haven't been out on a date yet, but you want to end up asking her out. So you just lead the conversation in that direction. Maybe you ask her, so what are you up to later today or this evening or next week? And she'll tell you, and then you can say, oh, let's grab food, coffee, drinks, whatever. And you say, let me get your number and we'll set it up. Or even better than if she's free in that moment and you are, then go on a spontaneous date and just pick a place on the fly. Another example, let's say you're on a date, maybe you're in a bar about to have some drinks. And when it comes to picking the seats, you've just entered the venue, you place your hand on her back. Obviously, if you feel like she's going to be cool with it, usually the upper back is quite safe very early on. And you say to her, look, those seats look like they have a nice view, there's a balcony, or this couch looks really comfy, and you lead her in that direction. Then later on in the date, maybe you want to change venues just to keep things exciting. And you tell her, oh, we can go to this bar or to this dinner place because it's got so-and-so dishes or this cocktail that I want to try. And again, that's you showing direction. And all she really has to do is say, okay. The key here is to put yourself in that leadership position and to be the decision maker. You want her to see you as this masculine guy who can provide a sense of direction and has it all figured out. So that all she really has to do is turn up to the date, be her smiley self, and swoon into your arms. The thing is, if you're raised by a single mom, being this leader is probably quite an alien concept to you. And it certainly was to me. You've just not seen that dynamic in your household where your father was the masculine figure and your mother was the feminine one. Or maybe even worse, whenever you've tried to take charge of any situation, non-dating related, maybe your mother would wrestle away any control from you. And you've just not become used to taking charge of anything in your life. Or maybe even worse than that, she would tell you that having the tendency to take charge of something was toxic masculinity and you should be ashamed of it. That's an extreme example. So you might have grown up quite submissive. So you now need to rewire yourself and learn to provide direction in your interactions with women, despite your tendencies, because that's a masculine trait that will garner you respect and attraction from the women you meet. That's when the woman can truly be in her feminine state. And that's the version of the girl that honestly you will enjoy the most seeing and being with if you're a masculine guy. Now, let's say you take charge of the situation, you ask the girl out on a date, or you try and lead her on the date, and she rejects your leadership. Okay, fine. Well, if you're already on the date, you can just continue the conversation and try again. But let's say you're about to ask her out and she doesn't want you to give you her number and just rejects any sort of advances from you. She'll still respect you way more for adopting that frame and trying than she does the nice guy who's been texting her memes for the past 2 years that she's friend-zoned ages ago. So I really believe that following this advice can make your dating life much more fruitful. If you can relate to any of this, then as always, tell me your story in the comments below. You can also join our school community and our free Discord server using the links in the description. And you can also book a one-to-one coaching call with me where we can discuss anything to do with being raised by a single mother and lacking a father figure. I'll see you in the next video.